These are 48 facts about football you probably didn't know. So get comfortable and I'll get started. The man who wrote Sherlock Holmes used to play in goal for an English club under a fake name so no one would notice it was him. Neil Armstrong wanted to bring a football to the moon. NASA said no because they felt the sport wasn't American enough. The World Cup trophy was once stolen in London, and the police never cracked the case. It was found a week later by a small dog named Pickles, sniffing under a garden hedge. Years later, the same trophy was stolen again in Brazil. That time, it was never seen again. Denmark won the European Championship in 1992 without even qualifying for it. Another country got kicked out at the last minute. Denmark was called in as a replacement, and they went and won the whole thing. There was a Brazilian striker named Carlos Kaiser who had a 12-year professional career without ever playing a single match. He faked injuries, staged fights, and talked his way from club to club, collecting paychecks the entire time. The singer Julio Iglesias was once a goalkeeper for Real Madrid's youth ranks. A car crash ended his football dreams, so he picked up a guitar instead, and the rest is history. One of the biggest transfers in football almost happened because of a video game. A manager's sons spotted a teenage Lionel Messi in a computer game and begged their dad to sign him, and he genuinely tried.
Fans of one London club used to throw celery onto the pitch as a running joke. It got so out of hand that the club officially banned celery from the stadium, and bringing it in can still get you kicked out. A French midfielder named Rio Mavuba was born on the boat in the middle of the ocean. His birth certificate listed no country at all, so for the first years of his life, he officially came from nowhere. In 1968, a European Championship semi-final ended in a draw, and there were no penalty shootouts yet. So the two teams settled it with a coin toss, and Italy went through on a lucky flip. Something similar happened in 1954, when Turkey and Spain couldn't be separated. A blindfolded Italian boy drew lots to decide it, and Turkey went to the World Cup. At the very first World Cup final in 1930, the two teams couldn't agree on which ball to use, so they used Argentina's ball in the first half and Uruguay's in the second. Uruguay came from behind to win it with their own ball. A Swedish player named Stefan Swartz had a clause in his contract that banned him from travelling into space. He'd shown interest in booking a seat on a future space flight, and his club wasn't taking any chances with their investment. An English club once missed the FA Cup, the country's biggest tournament, because someone forgot to send in the entry form. The paperwork just never got posted. In 1950, England lost a World Cup match to the United States, and the winning goal was scored by a dishwasher. Joe Gaetjens worked in a New York restaurant, wasn't even an American citizen, and beat one of the best teams on earth.
Uruguay has won the World Cup twice, which sounds normal until you realize how small it is. The country has barely 3 million people, fewer than many single cities, and it has still beaten the entire planet at its own favourite game twice. The longest football match ever played went on for more than 100 hours. It was a charity game in England, where the players kept rotating in shifts, day and night, for nearly 5 days straight. The biggest scoreline in history is 149-0, and every single goal was an own goal. A team in Madagascar was furious about a refereeing decision, so they spent the entire match
kicking the ball into their own net in protest. In a lower league match in Argentina, the referee once showed 36 red cards. He sent off every player, every substitute, and both coaching staffs. The game, understandably, was abandoned. In football's earliest days, there were no referees at all. The players were expected to sort out arguments among themselves, like gentlemen. That worked about as well as you'd imagine, and referees arrived soon after. Football was once against the law in England. A king banned it in the 1300s because his soldiers were skipping archery practice to play, and the royal decree warned that many evils may arise from the game. People kept playing anyway, in secret. The word soccer was actually invented in England, not America. It started as posh university slang, short for association football. The English later dropped it, and now they tease Americans for using a word they coined themselves. FIFA, football's governing body, has more member countries in the United Nations. More nations play football under one set of rules than sit together in the world's biggest political organization. Greenland has never been allowed its own FIFA team. It isn't an independent country. It belongs to Denmark. So the world's largest island has to watch the World Cup without ever taking part. Pelé, maybe the most famous player who ever lived, won the World Cup at 17. He was a kid who should have been in school, scoring in a World Cup final, and grown men on the pitch couldn't get near him. At the 1938 World Cup, a Brazilian star lost his boot in the thick mud during a match. He kept playing barefoot and, according to the reports of the day, scored one of the tournament's great goals before the referee made him put his boots back on. Penalty shootouts didn't exist until 1970. Before that, drawn matches were settled by replays, coin flips, or drawn lots. An entire century of football happened before anyone thought of the one thing we now can't imagine the game without. For most of football's history, substitutions were against the rules. If a player broke his leg in the first minute, his team simply played on the man short. Substitutes weren't allowed at a World Cup until 1970. In 1969, two countries in Central America actually went to war after a heated World Cup qualifier. The match lit the fuse on tensions that had been building for years, and it's remembered to this day as the Football War. The first football match ever shown on television was in 1937. Arsenal played against their own reserve team because getting two different clubs to agree to it was too complicated. The cameras barely worked, but it was the start of everything. The German star Mesut Ozil won the World Cup in 2014 and gave away his entire victory bonus. The money paid for surgeries for 23 sick children in Brazil, the country where he'd just lifted the trophy. Didier Drogba, the great Ivorian striker, is credited with helping to pause a civil war. After qualifying his country for its first World Cup, he got on his knees on live television and begged both sides to lay down their weapons. Within a week, talks had started. In 1996, a father and son played for Iceland in the same international match. The 17-year-old son came on as a substitute, replacing his own 34-year-old dad. They remain the only father and son ever to do it. The Colombian striker, Radamel Falcao, made his professional debut at 13 years old. He came off the bench in a second division match when his classmates were doing homework. A Belgian club once signed a player who was 20 months old. The toddler could apparently kick a ball better than kids twice his age, so the club got his parents to sign the forms early, just in case. When Sweden plays Denmark, television scoreboards shorten the names to 3 letters each, and something lovely happens. The screen reads SWE-DEN, and the letters left over from both country names spell Denmark. 2 neighboring countries hiding inside each other's names, and most people watching never notice. The famous blue and yellow of Boca Juniors, Argentina's biggest club, came from a coin flip of fate. The club couldn't decide on colours, so they agreed to adopt the flag of the next ship that sailed into the harbour. The ship that came in was Swedish, and more than a century later, they still wear blue and yellow. Juventus, the giant of Italian football, plays in black and white stripes because of a mix-up. They'd asked a contact in England to send new shirts, and he sent the kit of his own small local team, Notts County. Juventus liked the stripes and never changed them. In 1980, Real Madrid reached the final of the Spanish Cup, and so did their own reserve team. The first team ended up playing against their own youngsters for the trophy, and unsurprisingly, the grown-ups won. It remains one of the strangest finals ever played. Jose Mourinho, one of football's most famous managers, was once banned from the stadium for a big match. So he hid inside a laundry basket and had the kit men wheel him into the dressing room to give his team talk. The league never quite figured out how to punish that. Gary Lineker, one of England's greatest strikers, played his entire career without receiving a single yellow card. 16 years of professional football, hundreds of matches, World Cups, title races, and not one booking. Referees have called him the politest player they ever met. Ryan Giggs played nearly 1,000 matches for Manchester United across 24 years and was never once sent off in any of them. He ran at defenders his whole life, got kicked constantly, and simply got up every time. The record for the most penalties missed in a row in Argentina's top league is 5. The man who holds that record is Diego Maradona, arguably the greatest player in history. Even legends have weeks they'd rather forget. There's a stand at a small English club stadium that's older than FC Barcelona. Grimsby Town's main stand was built before Barcelona existed as a club at all. One of the biggest names in world sport is younger than a wooden grandstand by the North Sea. A volcanic eruption once changed football history. In 2010, a volcano in Iceland grounded flights across Europe, and a young Polish striker couldn't fly to England to sign for a mid-table club. He stayed home, signed for Borussia Dortmund instead, and became Robert Lewandowski, one of the greatest goal scorers who ever lived. A Chelsea legend named Peter Osgood loved his club so much that, when he passed away, his ashes were buried under the penalty spot at the stadium, Every time a penalty is taken at that end, it happens right above him. His family said it's exactly where he would have wanted to be. The most goals one team has ever scored in a World Cup match is 10. Hungary beat El Salvador 10-1 in 1982, and the Hungarian who scored a hat-trick that day had started the game on the bench. For El Salvador's players, it was still the proudest week of their lives, because their tiny country had made it to the World Cup at all. The very first World Cup, back in 1930, had only 13 teams. Most European countries refused to come, because getting to Uruguay meant weeks on a boat across the Atlantic. The teams that did make the trip shared the same ships, training on deck as the ocean rolled beneath them. A Russian striker named Oleg Salenko once scored 5 goals in a single World Cup match. No one has ever matched it. Stranger still, he was barely known before that day and faded away soon after. One afternoon of perfection, and then gone. The oldest football club on earth was founded in 1857 in Sheffield, England, by 2 cricketers who wanted something to do in the winter. That club still exists today, playing in the lower leagues, watched by a few hundred people. Every giant stadium, every World Cup final, every legend of the game traces back to 2 bored friends looking for a way to pass the cold months. More than 3 billion people consider themselves football fans, close to half of everyone alive. When a World Cup final kicks off, the whole planet leans toward the same game at the same time. Farmers in Vietnam, taxi drivers in Lagos, families in Buenos Aires, all watching the same ball. And maybe that's the real magic of it. Football needs almost nothing. A ball, a patch of ground, a couple of jumpers for goalposts. It's played barefoot on beaches and in polished billion-dollar stadiums. And it's the exact same game in both places. Somewhere in the world right now, at this very moment, someone is kicking a ball against a wall in the dark, dreaming. So you can let all of it go now. The wars and the coin tosses, the stolen trophies and the dog who found one, the dishwasher who beat England, and the boy who won the World Cup at 17. The matches will keep being played, the whistles will keep blowing, and the ball will keep rolling, whether anyone's watching or not. Let your breathing slow down. Let your body sink into the bed and drift off into a deep and easy sleep. Good night.